this goes for like as early on as the stage you guys are at now, like all the way up. But we really rallied around 5,000 schools in 2011. That was our big goal. We made shirts that had 5,000 on the back. It was a big, hairy goal. The year before, we finished with 2,000, so it was over doubling our number of schools using Hudl. But we were psyched about it. I mean, it was just like a fun, aggressive goal that we thought was realistic. It was an easy number to talk about. It was all over our office on the whiteboards. So whenever you guys are setting goals for whatever you're doing, I think setting something that's obviously aggressive and inspiring, but make it a memorable number, make it something that's easy to talk about, track it. And then this 10th one is something that we're just now starting to get good at. I wish I had heard about much earlier, which is the question you really should be asking all the time isn't how do I build something faster or how do I do more. The question really is, what am I trying to learn doing this thing? So when you guys are building these initial seeds of ideas and you're taking it out to somebody, the question you should be asking before you go into that meeting to see if your idea has any legs, or before you roll out a new marketing campaign, or when you guys are coming up with the branding, it's not, how can I knock this branding out of the park and nail it? Because you guys will all, I can say pretty confidently right now, 100% of you will fail to come up with the right brand on this first attempt. We did, all companies do. Your first brand is not going to be right. You're just going to learn a ton and you're going to get better at it. So instead of saying, how do I get this exactly right, you're really asking, what am I trying to learn? So with my first brand, I might be trying to learn if, for Hudl, if having Hudl misspelled is going to throw coaches off. That's really all we're trying to learn. We think this is the right brand, but the number one thing we want to learn is this going to be too confusing having a misspelled word as our key brand? Or can we go without a logo? Can we go with just a word? Or whatever it is about your brand that you feel is the most rickety assumption, that's what you're really trying to learn. So whatever you're building product-wise, whatever you're doing marketing-wise, just try to ask yourself that question. I think you'll be surprised how often you won't be able to answer it. You won't really know what you're trying to learn, but everything you're doing is just one step in a line of 10 steps. And so if you don't know what you're trying to learn in step 1, you'll never really understand how to make it to step 2. I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of confusing, I guess, but it just really helps humble you, I think, a little bit, that you're never going to get it right on the first step, and the best thing you can do is learn a ton. One other way to think about it is outcomes over output. Like, the best outcome you can have is to learn a bunch about what you just did. The worst thing that you can do is be focused on, I want to come up with a brand, and then I need to create stationery, I need to create business cards, I need to do all these things before you actually figure out the most important part, which is learning whether it's even the right brand in the first place, the right product in the first place. It's great that you guys are going and validating your ideas. Like, that's exactly what this is all about. And then these are a few resources that I've loved reading. They're kind of software oriented, so I know not all of you guys are software oriented, but there's just some awesome company thinking and culture thinking in these decks. So if you just Google for the Netflix culture deck, it's from Reed Hastings, and it's just like a killer deck about how to put together a company and what to think about. HubSpot is another company that has an awesome culture deck. I listen to This Week in Startups religiously. Jason Calacanis, he's got kind of a bold personality, so it takes a little getting used to, but he's a great host and has awesome guests. Entrepreneurial Thought Leaders is a Stanford podcast that's also phenomenal. And a lot of these are software oriented, but not all of them are software oriented. So just a few resources. Okay, with that, just turn it over to you guys.